there's one good thing that comes out of the United Nations General Assembly, it's that you get to join us here on set. That's why you're here, right? You come to New York.
Yeah.
Look at the tie. We got to make it more of a frequent
thing. I think I should win a Nobel Peace Prize, so I'm going to address the UN.
You can win for a lot of things. You know that. You can win for a lot of things. Ladies and gentlemen, man needs no introduction. Co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim VandeHei.
But you're going to introduce him anyway.
What do you got for Axios? Yeah, exactly. I stick to the script. I don't like go off script like Trump does. What do you have in terms of the one big thing today?
But you guys have been all over it this morning. The impeachment overnight really changed. The chances that you're going to have formal impeachment proceedings are almost not certain yet, but they're getting a lot more close to certain. Nancy Pelosi's meeting with the full caucus today. Lots of signals that she herself could come out publicly as soon as today and say that the tide has turned. The fact that Rosa DeLauro, very close to her, longtime congresswoman, came out and said that things are different now. You had a lot of swing state Democrats yesterday come out and say that now when you take what's happened with Ukraine, put it on top of what happened with Russia, that they have to begin impeachment proceedings. That doesn't mean that therefore the president would be impeached and removed from office. Probably does mean if they do it that he would be impeached in the House. But the thing to watch is, other than Mitt Romney, you don't have many Republicans expressing concern about what happened.
In fact, you get some of them like...
Are you surprised by that?
Yeah. No, not surprised at all. There's never been a single instance in this presidency where anyone who isn't retiring from office really speaks out against the president. And look what happened yesterday. Mitt Romney did, and he gets torched on Twitter by Donald Trump. So anybody who thinks that they might say something critical about it, they understand the consequences. It's an underappreciated power that Trump has, that people fear that he's either going to pick a primary opponent against you or he's just going to ridicule you to death in public. So you have to be pretty strong and pretty steady in your view on it. And we don't sense any of that from Republicans at this point, that they're worried enough to say that they would impeach.
What do you think has really tipped the scales for Democrats, especially overnight? Is the pressure on now more so than ever? Why? Because there was obviously an appetite for impeachment following the findings from the Mueller report, right? There was 134 or so House Democrats that came out and said, we advocate for impeachment hearings. But now, obviously, Nancy Pelosi kind of jumping on board, it seems. What do you think has really tipped the scales ultimately for all of this?
I think it's a combination of the audacity and then just how much it looks like what happened with the whole Russia saga. The fact that almost the day after Mueller wraps up his hearings on the Hill, the president is having a phone call with the head of Ukraine, and basically, according, if you look at all the reporting now, it looks like a basic quid pro quo, trying to influence what they're doing in their country that could have an influence in our presidential election. So if you're Nancy Pelosi, it gets harder and harder with each passing day to say, you know what, the hell with it. This seems like something we can push off, and that's what Democrats are saying no.
You would think the president's lawyers were just about to kind of uncork the champagne bottles that the Mueller probe wrapped up the way it did, only to then have this kind of scandal pop up.
And he's doubling down, by the way. He's handling this different than he did the Mueller. He's like, yeah, whatever, I didn't do anything wrong. And it might turn out that legally he didn't do anything wrong. But again, you got to remember that about impeachment. It has nothing to do with legality. It has to do with, do you think that these are high crimes and misdemeanors as defined by a majority of the House of Representatives? And for House Democrats, they're just under so much pressure now at home from activists to do something. And at some point, Nancy Pelosi can't be a caucus of one, and she knows that, and she doesn't want to be too far behind it. That meeting today it'll be one for the history books, because I do think it could be the moment where she has to come out and say we're going to do impeachment. I do.
Listen, very quickly, let me get some of your thoughts on Bernie Sanders. I know Axios has some new reporting in his campaign 2020. What's going on there?
Mikey has a scoop this morning looking at how he's going to come out with a wealth tax. This idea that you just take the richest people say make over $50 million in total assets, and you just give them a tax. You say it's 3% or whatever that number is. For Elizabeth Warren, it's 2%, rises up to 3%. Bernie Sanders is going to essentially copy that idea, but like Bernie Sanders does on a lot of policies, go even further. The reason that it matters is you look at Bernie Sanders, a little bit of Elizabeth Warren, and you look at some of these plans, trillions of dollars on climate change. We're going to wipe out your debt. We're going to send your kids to school for free. That's a lot of stuff for free, and at some point you have to detail how you're going to spend, how you're going to pay for it, and this is Bernie Sanders' first effort to show how we might pay for it.
Wall Street's going to love the wealth tax from Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I'm sure. Good to see you in person. Hopefully you'll be here tomorrow morning. You'll come back.
I'm going to sleep here.
All right. Got a card for you. Jim VandeHei, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Of course, you can read Axios right there. Sign up at Axios.com. It'll be coming out in a little bit. You do not want to miss that newsletter.
All right.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.